Hey there, it's June and high season for weddings. It's when a lot of couples are getting married. Do you know much about American weddings? Do you know what to do if you receive an invitation? Do you know much about gifts? I'm going to talk about a few of the expectations, a few of the norms or practices that take place today in America.
English without fear, where you can learn to speak English naturally through listening to stories.
First off, this is a disclaimer. I'm only talking about heterosexual weddings. I am not qualified to talk about same-sex weddings. Okay, with that out of the way, let's talk about weddings. We know that the rituals or customs for burying the dead differ. They vary from culture to culture, country to country. And it's the same with wedding customs. So I'm going to give some general ideas about what you can expect if you receive an invitation to a wedding for an American friend. Of course, there are exceptions and different ways of doing things, and you can look those up. But this is what might be typical. First of all, today, many couples meet online through dating apps. You know, it's a fact that a lot of people nowadays are very isolated. They don't live or do much with community. They don't belong to clubs. They don't do much volunteer service. Fewer people are going to church. And a lot of people work remotely. They work alone from a coffee shop or from their house. And so there's not the office. And then people here in America move around a lot, and it's hard to get to know people your own age. So they use apps. I know several couples who have met and married through a dating app. Once a couple decides to get married, then usually the man offers a ring when he proposes marriage. To propose marriage is to say, "Will you marry me?" And the man gives a ring as a commitment to the gal. Now, many couples make this decision together that they're going to get engaged after dating a while. And so sometimes they actually stage or organize or have friends present to take pictures of and document the proposal. Typical or traditional is that the man gets down on one knee and asks for the hand of the gal. Sometimes he asks the father first. Once the woman says yes, the couple are now officially engaged. They have a lot to decide. First of all, where are they going to get married? And what is the venue, the place, not just the town, but the place? Some people choose to get married in church. Other people choose to get married outside or at home or in a special event venue. There's the wedding itself, and then there is the party, which we call the reception. The norm or the practice is for the bride's family to pay for the wedding. Now, the woman who just got engaged is called the fiancé or bride. The man who is engaged is the groom or the fiancé. Fiancé, fiancée, they sound the same, but the word, it's a French word, the word for the woman has an extra silent E. Fiancé means you are engaged. And we use the French word here in America. So they have a lot of decisions to make. And since the bride's family usually pays for the wedding, families that have daughters often start saving for their daughter's wedding when their daughter is a child, because weddings today can be very expensive. They don't have to be, but a lot of girls dream of a fancy wedding. Once the couple have selected or picked a date for their wedding and the reception, they use something called a wedding registry. There's one wedding site that is pretty famous called The Knot, Knot, as in tie a knot. And this has to do with an old traditional custom where in a church wedding, the priest or the pastor would actually tie a sash or a string around the couple's hands, signifying that the two have become one flesh, physically and spiritually. And so we can sometimes say, oh, Bob and Sally just tied the knot. They just got married. This registry, this website, is a place for the engaged couple to write information about themselves and about the wedding. They also will have selected certain gift items that they hope to get as a wedding present, usually to set up their household, their home. And you can order right off of this registry. The registry is the list of gifts that the bride and groom, the engaged couple, have picked out. You can either order right then and have the gift sent to the bride's house, or you can receive it and bring it with you to the wedding reception, wrapped up nicely. Sometimes there are other occasions for gifts. For example, the bride often has friends or family who will organize a party before the wedding called a bridal shower. They shower her with gifts. They give her gifts. So you might have to buy 2 gifts for the bride if you are invited both to the shower and the wedding. The shower is just for women, and they often play party games to see how well the bride knows her future husband. And then she gets to open the gifts. Sometimes she gets to hear advice about marriage from the women already married. The guys don't get gifts. They don't have the same thing, but they do have a party, and this is organized by a good friend of the groom who is called the best man. The best man. The best man is the groom's helper. He will help him before the wedding, during the wedding. He will hold the ring that the groom is going to use to put on the finger of his bride. And the wedding ring will go on the same finger as the engagement ring. And remember, the engagement ring and the wedding ring are placed on the left hand of the bride on the finger that is next to the pinky finger, the little finger. That's where people in America wear a wedding ring. Now the bride will also buy a ring for her groom, and her helper is the maid of honor. She will hand the ring to the bride to slide on her husband's finger. It'll be the left hand, that finger next to the pinky finger. So the best man sometimes will organize a stag party for the groom. This is men only, guys only party where the men have a good time together right before, maybe the week of, right before the wedding. Like, this is what you're going to miss, all this fun together. You're going to be married and tied down. Sometimes the girls, sometimes the bride with her maid of honor and some other helpers called bridesmaids will have a getaway weekend, like at the beach or in a resort. So the bride has a maid of honor, the number one helper, and anybody else are called bridesmaids. You don't need to have bridesmaids. When I got married, I just had a maid of honor, and Mike just had best man, his brother. The men, if you want extra men at the wedding, there's the best man, and the other men are called groomsmen. Groomsmen, bridesmaids. Now, once the couple get married, if it's at a church and when they exit the church, sometimes people will throw rice or confetti. Or they can do that when the couple is ready to leave the reception, like on a honeymoon. And sometimes that's when rice or confetti will be thrown on the couple. The groomsmen usually decorate the car that the newlyweds are going to drive off in. And usually it says "just married" on the back window of the car, some kind of sign. After the wedding, there is now the wedding reception. And that is either stand-up food or a full lunch or full dinner. There can be dancing, lots of things like that. If you are invited to the wedding, then if you are friends of the bride and the venue is in a church, you will sit on the left side as you face the altar. If you are friends with the groom and his family, you will sit on the right side. When you go to the wedding and when you go to the reception, you will have received what is called an invitation, and it will be on real paper, usually real paper, and it will say RSVP, which is French, just like fiancé, for répondez s'il vous plaît. Please answer this invitation. Don't ignore it. Remember, the bride's family is paying for the reception, and they need to know how many people are coming to the reception to plan the food. They have to pay for the food or fix it themselves. So you need to respond. You need to say, yes, I will be there. No, I will not. And then you need to show up. Do not bring anybody else with you unless that person has been invited. Leave your children at home. Leave your partner at home. Only the people who have received an invitation and who have RSVP'd, as we say, are to go. It is not right otherwise. And when you go to the wedding, be on time. American weddings start on time, and you need to be seated at the wedding before the bride comes from the back of the group to the front where she's going to get married. So be early. Don't get there right at 2 o'clock if that's when the wedding starts. be there a little bit early, like maybe 15 minutes early or 10 minutes early. And do not be late. What else? Well, what about the gifts? Do people ever give money? I suppose you can do that. I've been to lots of weddings. I have never done that. I have usually selected a gift off the registry. And that is, I think, a safe thing to do. Don't take your gift to the church if that's where the wedding is. Save it for the reception. There will usually be a table for gifts, and you'll be able to know where to place it. Make sure you put your name on it so the bride knows whom to thank. Brides are to write thank you notes. That is expected. There's usually a wedding cake, so don't leave the wedding reception until the bride and groom have cut the cake. That is traditional as well. And one other tradition, when the bride is leaving with her new husband, either to go on a honeymoon right away, a trip, or just away for the night, one thing that she does is she takes her bouquet of flowers and tosses it behind her to the bridesmaids. And tradition says that whoever catches the bouquet is the one friend who's going to get married first after this wedding. It's kind of a fun tradition. Well, there are other traditions, other ways of getting married, but again, as I said, you can look those up. You can get married for really cheap, or you can go all out. But I wanted you to be at least a little bit prepared about American wedding customs. Well, thanks for listening. This is Maria from English Without Fear. Talk to you next time.